Hey, what's up, dude? I think you're muted.
How about now?
There we go. You're good.
Well, if you popping in, I'm just saying we're gonna talk a little shit. Oh, I think my camera is it's a little high right now. Sorry, I moved stuff around a little bit, so we got a little different layout. Oh my god, y'all up in my grill. Apparently, so there's a couple things we're gonna talk about today. It's more laid back, so we'll try to interact with chat a little bit more than we do most times, just because we're gonna be a little more laid back. But we're gonna go into like clowning Elon Musk in a little bit. But first thing we gotta do is we gotta talk about these politics. I actually saw this video, very particularly. They had a list of what Americans think when they think about politics. So I wanted to screen share that. But also, I am, if you do not know, Big Villainous, your common revolutionary, the best MC, and international sex symbol. And this is Jelly. You want to introduce yourself?
I'm just one of the various malcontents you might meet along your way.
Damn, said malcontent.
Shit.
See if we can turn you up. You're kind of quiet.
Oh, all right, dude. Let's see.
You're not usually that quiet.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
Let's see,
It's muted.
See if I can do it on my end somehow. Audio. Nope.
Yeah, check. The website said it, or like the behind the scenes said it was about the same levels. So I would.
Yeah, I'm trying. I don't know if I can really like mess with it to make it louder. But all right, well,
Yeah.
how's everybody? Is everything cool enough? Is it good? Yeah, that's what I know. We were doing each different volumes. I was thinking that. I'm trying to figure out.
Is this better? Am I coming in better now?
You're a little bit louder, but still pretty quiet.
All right. Shit.
But,
I don't know why.
Yeah, I this is why I need someone who has more experience with this stuff, because I'm trying to figure it out right now how to turn you up.
Okay. I'm just gonna leave and come back. Really.
Oh shit! Oh, my head just blew up. My head is big now. We'll see if this makes it better. I'm looking at settings right now, y'all. So give me a second, because I want to figure out. Oh, guess. Nope, it's not there either. I control my audio, but I can't control theirs. So I can't turn them up or nothing. Alright, well, we'll just wait for them to come back, and then we'll show this video. And if it's two different volumes, then we'll just work with it, you know what I mean? I don't know how to fix it right now. Do y'all get me loud and clear at least? Oh shoot! Wait. All right.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you a little clearer.
Okay. Okay, I just had to set the mic up a bit louder. I don't know why, but.
All right. So, like I was saying, all right, like I was getting into, y'all, we're gonna have to dive into this list of what Americans think about when they think about the word politics, and kind of wonder if they're talking about electoral politics or all politics, because I can feel them about both. Oh my god! From this angle, my head looks so big. Oh. All right, here we go. Screen share, right? Is that how we do it? Boop, boop, boop. So, how have you been doing, Jelly? How has your week been? Tell us about it.
Week. Just doing some work and trying to catch up on some of my freaking resting that I wasn't able to do through this summer. Working a lot. So, the Rains are back, though. That's good. Hell yeah. We got the Rains back. Let's go.
I'm expediently happy. That didn't make sense. That's not the word I was trying to use, but whatever. We're wrong with it. I'm extremely happy about it though, because I'm from Seattle, so it's like a big thing out here. If you're actually from here, you probably love the rain. Now, people who aren't from here get the sads, and it's like, bro, don't gentrify. You know what I mean? Don't gentrify. We don't get the sads. We don't get the sads.
Well, I'm just sad all the time, so the rain has nothing to do with that. I get a little bit happy because it gets a bit greener and the air's fresher. I'm still sad, but
But you know what I mean. The sad dysfunction, whatever.
Yeah.
That whole thing. And I'm like, man, if I get the sads anywhere, it's like in Texas when it gets super hot, and I'm like, oh my God, cool down. Cool down. This is too much. This is too much. All right, but here we go. We're going to jump into this real quick.
So Pew asked Americans to describe the state of the United States politics in just one word. And I want you to listen to some of the most common responses. And I have to warn you here, some of these are not kid-friendly. Divisive, chaos, corrupt, messy, crazy, bad, sad, dysfunctional, broken, disgusting, ridiculous, petty, partisan, embarrassing, hypocrisy, hellish, crooked, sucks, fractured, circus, liars, joke, self-centered, crap, nasty, toxic, deceit, farcical, convoluted, rigged, combative, dumpster fire, aggressive, extreme, poor, disaster, disgrace, unproductive, and, well, effed.
All right, we're gonna stop it there because we need no Anna Kasparian. But here's the thing with that. I feel like I wanted to show that, but I just feel like I've been there the whole time we've been in this situation, right? We've been in the, which means the whole time I've been alive, pretty much. But this whole time political is really what it means. But the thing is, it's hilarious because I just feel like hasn't that always been the at least the working class perception of politics?
What was that, dude?
Can you not hear me? Shit.
Oh no, I just need you to repeat yourself. I got kind of distracted and I
was saying that it's funny, right? Because I think I've always agreed with that, like especially through ages, right? Of all those words being very good descriptors of the political atmosphere, especially the American political atmosphere, right?
Yeah.
I think that's been something that I'm glad that the general populace is on it, but it feels like it's been a working class perspective the whole time, right? Like,
definitely.
Like the days of Tammany Hall type shit, you know what I mean?
Oh, not even. People on the bottom, know folks on the bottom know you're getting fucked. It just depends on how you're being, exploited, what methods are being used to exploit or oppress specific groups. And if you can name the right sources, it's the reason, it's like, if you're being exploited, you might not know what the system that's doing it actually is or how it functions. And that's how scapegoats can be picked out. But yeah, no, I think that these descriptions of like people's mood have always been there for people who the political system never worked for. And it's just now to the point where a lot more of like the petite bourgeois and that like kind of side of the owning class, but more included in it rather than like actually holding like world shaping capital, where they're finally going, oh shit, this isn't working for us anymore, And that's a big deal because when I was like 12, 13, I was pissed off. I started doing shit, but like people were like, oh, you're a crazy kid. And, now a lot more people are agreeing with us, which is pretty wild. Maybe not on the solutions part or what to do about this impasse, but like at least that it's messed up.
Yeah, facts. And the thing is like, not only that, but like, I'm glad to see it happen, but like, I think there's more acknowledgement that needs to happen as far as the petite bourgeoisie is concerned. And I see like people like FD and stuff, and I fuck with it because at least they own their pieces of how it's worked for them. I remember that one we were talking and having this conversation. I don't remember if it was the police one or if it was the last one I dropped, but he was like, talking about how he, to some degree, no, it was my video specifically. It was the morality one, how the system has worked for him to some degree, and then for those who it hasn't worked for, we've always had that perspective of it being completely toxic, and that what have politicians been called, right? Wine, rats, because we know how they actually function when it comes to us, versus like you see petty bourgeois folks are just starting to get to the point as the so-called eroding middle class is happening that they're realizing, oh man, they're just getting screwed. And it's like, yeah, of course, because they were only giving you a little bit that they took from us, but there's going to become to a point where they want more and they're so greedy that they just take everything. The politicians never worked for the people. At least that's my stance on it. These people have never worked for the people, and they've always worked against the people's interests. The politicians have always been very much about being PR agents for the corporations and for the wealthy to us, to make sure that they can get our consent to continue to screw us over, as well as to commit war, do genocides, colonize, and so on and so forth, right? And I think that is what they really played a role of. And I think for the working class people, proletariat people, that hasn't never been an illusion of anything else. I think it's been very clear fundamentally. That being said, I don't even know if it's really just as people speaking on politicians as much as they're speaking on politics as a whole. And I think that also can apply to like the social media politics that are going on. And I also would agree with this there as well. Overall, I mean, there's real people out here doing real work. You know what I mean? Not to toot my own horn as being one of them. There's real people doing real work, but they're not the people with pedestals and that are the thought. What do they call them? The
thought leaders.
Thought leaders. Yeah. The thought leaders. Like, bruh, thought leaders talking about theories that don't touch the ground type shit. But yeah,
and that's the thing. Like, it's like, it's one thing to have conversations and put out alternative positions or alternative opinions on things and stuff, but it's another thing to like kind of like see that as the political sphere. And so as more and more of even the left have been brought into this, like the kind of techno-industrial spectacle, this media spectacle that keeps everybody focused on just the images rather than the things that those images represent, we're in a situation where like, it's like people don't see ways out. And that's why you're going to get people talking about like in the sense of like dread, like, dumpster fire, all these things. And it's not just the politicians, I don't think. It's like the entire system of impasses that have been like these walls that have been put up, erected through countless eras of revolutionary struggle, and then like industrial, like civilization, like the mechanisms of power, the forces of domination and control, the ways that they recuperate those tactics back into the logics of their systems, and so we're at this position where people know that shit is just completely going off the rails. But people aren't seeing like any other like impasses through this political system. And, this political system, this neoliberal political system is based entirely on a reality where it is the end of history. There's no more after this. And so, it's going to lead to a lot of, I think, severe repercussions. Now, do I think some people are going to get into social movements, get involved in community projects, all these things that are like the entry nodes for radical, transformative, liberatory politics? Yeah, I do think some people will. But I think a lot more people are going to get just completely dissuaded because they don't see any alternatives of action. It's one thing to see, like, for example, we bring it up a lot, but the 2020 uprising, the George Floyd uprising. It's really easy for a lot of normies to see that as coming out of nowhere. But if you're involved in, like, street movements, street politics, it kind of like was going to happen. It was going to happen. Like at some point, there were so many pressures, COVID, all these different things. Like police violence was not abating at all. People reinforced in their homes when they ventured outside, they got shot. Like it was going to explode. But for a lot of normies, they couldn't see that precisely because of where their frame of reference was. Like this political class, talking, putting out the current positions, being on social media, focusing on electoral issues. They couldn't see the writing on the wall that was like easy to read on the streets of just people being forced to survive through a really shitty situation. Shit was going to change. Like shit was going to explode.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of terrain that people don't see, like the death of Sean Furr at the time. Also John T. Williams, even back in that, happened way before that, but also led to a lot, at least locally in Seattle and Washington. And then I'm sure, like when we talk about like nationally, each city had their people who were murdered by the police, the black folks specifically, black men specifically. And with that context, was laying the foundation, as well as resistance movements have been going on across the nation forever against the police. Like for example, like how I got it started organizing in the first place was me and like two other folks started Seattle Cop Watch. Started from there. That's how I got introduced to organizing in the first place. So like cops are a problem, right? But that we're not the only Cop Watch. Cop watches pop up randomly, autonomously across the country because of the need, right? Because people see it. And so that's laying the foundation in the first place. Then you talk about different movements, even after that, building up to it, from outside agitators to Black Lives Matter, the first incarnation, because there's been multiple incarnations of Black Lives Matter. Let's be real about it. And there's multiple resistance movements against the police that were already building that terrain. And then at the point during a pinnacle moment where COVID would have people trapped inside, where everybody was economically losing everything because they couldn't afford, they couldn't work, there was quarantine. Then they had to watch this man lose his life, get deleted by these swine, right? And so people were just like, no. And it set off. It wasn't coming out of anywhere. It was organizing that happened before. There was also the terrain that it was birthed on. All those things were leading up to a specific climax. And to be honest, still are.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're trying their best to abate it by like actually prosecuting cops, as they should have been doing from day one. But I mean, I'm not for prisons, but like, you know what I mean? They should have been holding them accountable from day one.
Oh, yeah.
But so like that's just the reality of what was going on, and there was so much to it, from the organizing to the terrain to the violence being shown to us. There's so much to it now, but it's not like people just talking about it in the ways of like political theory and conversation, right? So,
well, it's okay. This is my thing. I think that can be really important, but only when people are also engaged on a physical terrain. Like, some of my favorite discussions I've ever had on political theory were ones that I've had at barricades, at blockades, holding off space and defending it through the night from fucking police or Nazis or whatever, Those were the best times, because it wasn't just ideas that sounded nice or might be a great debate tactic, but they were applicable. Instantly applicable to maybe some of the situations we were facing, or some of the impasses that we were at, the loggerheads between different positions in those situations, of blockade, that this or that, it's and I also, like you were saying earlier, just a bit earlier, I want to go a little bit further into this, the difference between Black Lives Matter, which group, because Black Lives Matter it started out as a protest chant. It became a coalitional phrase as like an umbrella of like intent. And then the academic middle class, freaking nonprofit vultures, let's just be real, the vultures got in there and started using the name, and not not being accurate. And like, so it's one thing to be like, hey, we started this phrase and people have taken it up, and we're an organization with the name, but there's a lot of different beliefs in this street movement, or there's a lot of different beliefs in this. No, but part of the reason why BLM or whatever, it's Black Lives Matter seems like a monolith to so many people, isn't just because of the right wing like fearmonger shit. It's also because of like the organization itself, the neoliberal like nonprofit that has at every turn tried to take credit for everything that was done in the streets, except for stuff that isn't advantageous. And then they're like, no, that's not deal, and get out of here. And
I mean, it's always interesting too, because it's like based off the person who claimed the org. I don't know why my camera keeps going in and out. I don't understand, but the person who claimed the org, like they did what was advocated for themselves based off of like a hashtag they claimed, because they apparently had hashtagged it first, and that became a foundation of it. That was their work. They are responsible for BLM. I'm like, bro, we never seen Patrice in the streets. We never seen any of the folks do any type of work. That's not real, right? People
that's
out there were just random black folks all from across the country that came out to lay the foundation to that. It's not that people claimed responsibility for it because they had a hashtag. But even when you go further, right, and we dive into it, we like go into like Ferguson, right? Ferguson had called out the org Black Lives Matter, the people who took the hashtag for co-opting their struggle, because what really had happened, it wasn't like the hashtag Black Lives Matter came from Trayvon, but the resistance movement that became Black Lives Matter came from Ferguson, came from Mike Brown. Yeah, thank you. Came from Mike Brown, came from people laying their lives down. Like people died, like. There's those of us who had attempts on our lives, but there was also people in Ferguson and other places who were literally murdered by like probably the state, if not the Klan or something.
Yeah,
they were shot and then burned in their cars. This stuff got very real, but it wasn't the people who coined it. It wasn't the people who built the org. It was the people who did the work. And I think one of the big things that I get frustrated with politics, I go back to the pessimism around politics, and I understand that feeling being outside of electoralism is because the people who take time to put the foundation down through work get a back seat to those who then talk about the things other people did.
Yeah.
And it was wild because when it came to the uprising, I watched that shit happen in real time. People trying to stop us from making certain moves. Then we make those moves, and then it's a W, it's a victory, and then they want to claim that move, right? So it's like you were trying to say, don't do it. What you mean? Anyways,
well, it's the liberals. The liberals are always going to try and take advantage of the terrain to reposition that worldview onto the world. And I'm not just talking about like when I say liberalism, I don't mean like, oh, you're some cringy college activist who you're just learning about stuff and you're a little bit too. I don't care. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like the specific property rights, foundational government forms, these types of things. That's liberalism. But that's what it is. They're trying to reposition that form that will still benefit them with property, with social capital, with real capital, even if it's minute, that kind of shit. And so those people are always going to be there. But yeah, the uprising, I think the reason you were able to see it so quickly in real time is because the state and all other like organizations, nonprofits, everybody, they all saw it and they said, holy shit, this might actually be a threat to our ability to like function, to do these things, to convince people that, oh, we're going to solve the problem of police violence with like an extra nonprofit, or some shit like that. I don't know. I think it's really important to look at that. Because this, I think, is also one of the reasons why people are so pessimistic about politics in general. Because there's always some asshat who's ready to try and make a buck off of it, Because again, those nonprofits might be like, oh, we're a nonprofit. Yeah, you're existing in capitalism, and who has the money to give you grants and give you, your scholarships? The government and rich people. That's who. So you're still beholden to capital. Like, you're still beholden to capital. Like, I'm sorry. And so that's another reason why people become very pessimistic.
Like, let's be real. Like, I'll be honest. Like, even me, I'm still beholden to capital, right?
Yeah,
that being said, this, I always say, for example, this streaming, the YouTube is not my organizing. I will use it to benefit my organizing. This is a business, right? This is somewhere business of talking politics, business of sharing my knowledge and experience, right? The consulting company we're starting up, it's a business. We're beholden to capitalism, so our limitations are a lot. Like, there are a lot. There's a lot of limitations, right? I mean, there's things I can't say on here that I wish I could say to y'all, but like, it literally could get people indicted. It could get me indicted. Not to mention, it could it could get TOS to shut down. So there's limitations because I'm beholden to capital on here. That, for example, on my organizing on the ground, I don't have those limitations.
Nope.
Because I'm not worried about a buck, right? And I think when it comes to those on the ground organizing movements, the people who should be proud of the people who are not doing it for the dollars, not doing it for the but also, even if they are, at least the people who are doing it, just doing it, period. Because a lot of people come in and they don't do anything, they don't lay that foundation or put in the work, but then they get a lot of funding out of it by talking the right way, being able to take a few photos at these spaces and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And that's a problem. Do you want to say one more thing before we move on to like the Elon roast? I just wanted to talk a little bit about like some real the politics thing. I thought that was a funny thing, but then we go on the Elon, which was a lot to go off of just talking shit about Elon.
God.
So
the fucking apartheid prince, Jesus Christ. Yeah, dude, I'm sorry. We can go on to freaking the Musk roast, dude. Because but I do think that this is an important important thing to talk about, like that complete hopelessness feeling within even everyday Americans, because what that really points to is that really there is a large-scale collapse of the neoliberal social order. Like the fairy tale, the narrative it used to spin when there was a higher level of stability in the United States for certain populations. Because again, when they say the people, who do you mean by the people? Like ancient Greece and ancient Rome, when they said the people, they were meaning the landowner, the one guy, the one man who owned all the land. They were the people. All the people who lived with them, they weren't the people. Democracy has always been exclusionary, even in those types of things. So I'm always, when I hear them talk, I'm like, oh, the people, okay, well, which people? And so, but right now, the people that were the included class, the people who had to kind of be given a few extra crumbs to keep them in those more important functioning roles, those managerial roles, those system functioning roles that keep capitalism going. They're, at this point, feeling less and less hope in it because there's less and less coming back to them, And, so I think that we need to watch this collapse of legitimacy very, very closely.
Facts. Yeah, I mean, I think that's exactly what it is, right? And I talk about a lot of times about material interest and stuff like that, but that's exactly what it shows, right? People now losing faith. A lot of people who are at least the ones getting pulled losing faith because they're losing material interest, versus like a lot of people who are working class, who are proletariat, who are lump proletariat, never had that material interest.
Mm-hmm.
They had a dream of breaking out of the cage that capitalism had built for them. So, yeah. Even when you see lumpen proletariat people go the capitalist route, it's still to break free of the cage that they were put in the first place. But yeah. Versus we have the Elon Musk of the world.
Oh God.
Who deny the wealth they were blessed with that allowed them to get so wealthy in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of, I do want to bring up, just because you brought that up. So Elon Musk, the reason that people talk about the apartheid emeralds is because I think it was in like 2016 or something, probably a few years ago. He was in an interview that he was doing, and he brought them up. He brought the emeralds up. He brought that, like, oh yeah, that's just normal. And the person was like, the person interviewing him was like, what? That's not normal. And once Elon Musk realized it was fucking weird what he had said, and completely out of touch, he tried to backtrack it. He tried to go, blah, 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 like, no, that never happened. Like, that person's lying. Well, apparently, the Daily Beast just got an exclusive interview with his dad, Elon Musk's dad. And his dad's like, yep, I own shares in an apartheid emerald mine. Like, that's where Elon Musk got all of his money from. Like, yeah, dude. Even his dad is like, come on, Elon. Like, you're come on.
The dad's like, Elon, stop denying my successes, all right?
Yeah. He's like, what? Aren't you proud of our accomplishments in apartheid South Africa and apartheid Rhodesia? Jesus Christ.
And here's the thing is he was until he realized that people weren't really with him on it. They were like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the fanboys are all with it too, because some of the fanboys are people like Vosh. I don't know if Vosh is still a fanboy, but that's the type. That is the type.
Yeah, debate bro types.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't actually matter what you do in your life as long as you can make that like cool little zinger. It's the same people who all they care about, they're so empty inside that all they care about is being seen as cool or funny or this or that online. You know,
it's really interesting because like there is like definitely a degree of Elon worship, which is what he wanted, and he lost a lot of it with the Twitter debacle, right? I don't want to start by diving into the Twitter debacle because everybody on here is going to know about the Twitter debacles that is now, or he wants to call it X. It is X now.
Well, that's what he wanted to literally call every single company he's ever made. That's why Peter Thiel kicked him out of fucking PayPal back in the day. Peter Thiel and all the rest of the founders and stuff of PayPal kicked Elon Musk out before he got his hair implants and all that stuff. They like kicked him out because he was like, we need to rename it X, PayPal, and everyone else was like, no, that's a bad idea. You are making bad ideas.
Yeah, bro. But like, and then there's the whole thing of like him not even want to get in the first place, like, and then trying to bow out of it after he already invested and spent money, not spent money, but spent time and ran their stock value up, and they knew it was going to plummet because of it. And so they had to force him to buy it. That shit was wild. And then the whole idea of the free speech zone and all those type of things. But I know there were specifically things that you had brought up to me a while back when we were talking that I really wanted to dive into about the Saudi money that you were talking about.
Yeah.
I haven't fact checked it yet, so I'm trusting you with this one.
No, I think this. I've been looking into this. Like the Saudis, pretty much the Saudi Arabian venture capital fund that they use to fund venture capital like companies and stuff around the world. They fund it. They're not a majority stakeholder, but they are a minority stakeholder. I'm pretty sure. And yeah, Elon Musk just set $40 billion on fire. And I cannot imagine that the Saudi kingdom, the kingdom of Saud is very happy about that investment. To be honest, him ruining it is like a second best for them, I guess, because first best would have been able to if he had been able to make Twitter or X or whatever the fuck he wants to call it, if he could have made that like actually a much more powerful surveillance tool for those governments. But the House of Saud is kind of like, you know, hey, if no one can use it and it's set on fire, like, fine for us as well. And so, yeah, now he's planning on charging for it, dude. Oh my god, man. What is he doing? He's running that shit to the ground!
Man, yeah, he's trying to make a quick buck or like at least reduce the L he took. But he's caught up in the situation where he can't do that at all. Like, because they pinned him to a wall. He's not going to be able to recover the amount of finances that he invested into it. There's no way in hell. Like, because a lot of it was inflated by his initial offers in the first place. That, like, knocked his value up, which was going to drop right back down. And then him being indebted to Saudi Arabia, I'm like, that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, man.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be pulling some of his stock from both SpaceX and Tesla. I don't know which order. I don't know if he's going to do it at the same time, but he's going to have to, because Elon Musk is not keeping billions of dollars out in the bank account. That's not how these billionaires do it. They live with no money, no liquid cash on them generally, and they just get loans from the banks because they go, hey, look at all our assets. You can give me a loan, and it's very favorable conditions. And so, billionaires save their money. They like that. They don't, So like ultimately, he is going to have to liquidate some of his stocks in those other companies. But who knows how that's going to pan out? Because again, like most of the projects he's been involved in, like PayPal, for example, when PayPal and the company he started, I can't remember what it was called at the time, they merged, and in like the late '90s, and like kind of like right around that .com boom and bust. He tried to name it X. Peter Thiel kicked him out. This has happened quite a few other times. He's also really well known for this situation where he hypes something up a lot and it'll like improve the stock value, but it's generally, it has no relation to what the companies are actually doing. Like, back in the day, he wanted the X to be able to do everything, and they were like, "That's not going to happen. We're not going to be able to do that yet." And with Tesla, the whole company of Tesla was based on, we're going to make electric cars and electric batteries. We'll start with a really nice luxury one, make money off that. Their whole plan was to go down in value, like 3 or 4 sets models, and then it would be like an economy model, using the money in the development of each of those to like reduce costs. Elon Musk got in there, and all he fucking started talking about is making robots and like bulletproof cars that he shattered in front of everybody. Like, he literally did the thing he said it could not do. Like, he was like, "Oh,
you don't understand how bulletproof windows work. That shit could have been a bulletproof window all you want. Doesn't make it shatterproof. You
exactly.
Stop a bullet. That means you have to pull out a bullet and shoot it, which you probably can't do in an auditorium like that, fool. So you get over it, right? But the fact that you threw a big metal object through it is like, that's not how it works. But he's not how it works. In fact, one of the things you need to do to break a bulletproof window is find something big and heavy to hit it with. Like, it's not like it's not how it works. You know what I mean? It's like these bullets are like small projectiles that travel at high velocities and then get caught in the layers of that glass and then catches the bullets. It's not that it's like insmashable. It's like, bro, no, you goofy. Yeah. Even if you had the right window in there, and maybe you didn't, but even if you did, there's a possibility that throwing a ball through it could break it.
Oh, no, I don't doubt that those windows were incredibly expensive. And the thing is that Elon Musk, the thing about Elon Musk is that he's high on his own supply. He is busy sniffing his own farts all goddamn day. Like, he can't stop. He can't stop himself. Like, he's addicted to sniffing his own farts. And the problem with that is that he believes a lot of the shit that's coming out of his mouth. And so it's one thing when some like capitalist or industry titan or something is like, "Oh yeah, blah blah blah, I believe this," and then at their boardroom meeting they're like, "Of course I don't believe that. I had this published that in the trolls or whatever." But Elon Musk really thinks that he's going to be the savior of mankind. He's going to go to Mars, and like he has to have 1 billion kids and name them like X verse Sever or Technomanicus and shit. Like. The thing is, he does think that a word like X is just really cool and sci-fi. So, like, he thinks it should sell. But most people either associate it with pornography, or they're like, that doesn't work. X, crossed out, no. Like, I don't know if he understands what X really means. Like,
he's like, I saw Jason X.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good movie. The Jason movie ever. But I thought it was a good movie. So I wanted you to call everything X. Didn't he want to like name his children like these really weird names, or didn't he name them like?
They all have horrendous names, and now he's blaming like one of the schools on turning his eldest kid like communist and trans, and I'm like, no, bro, you just named them horrific things, and you're like the worst guy in the world. Of course, your kids hate the crap out of you. Like, what are you talking about, man? Like that on top. Like normally, teenagers are gonna hate their parents. They're like trying to make them, you know, as a teenager, you're trying to like, you're trying to create this new thing, independent. You know, like there's all this stuff, and yeah, there's gonna be tension there. But man, he did not help himself in the process of getting teenage kids to like him, dude. You know, and again, like, yeah, he's like, oh, they taught him social justice. Yeah, like the fact that like South African apartheid and the emerald mines in what was then Rhodesia and now known as Zambia were bad. Having African slaves mine white people's emeralds is bad, guys. Yeah, Elon, like, yeah, your kid is correct. Your child is correct.
You know what it sounds like?
Hmm.
It sounds like Elon Musk owns both black people and people in Africa. Reparations. That's what it sounds like to me. That's what it sounds like to me. That's why I hear Elon. Because you got an emerald mine that got you the first bit of capital. Then you use it to flip and accumulate capital that was built off the black folks here to be able to make yourself the richest person. So, you know, because the capital of the U.S. is all like built off stolen indigenous land and the labor of black folks, hands down, without a question. Like, so yep. He's double dipping. Didn't even realize it. Probably didn't even think about that at all.
He definitely didn't think about it.
I mean, yeah. The thing is, what always killed me about it is like his fans, though. His fans really buy his shit. They really be sniffing his parts like that. And it's like, bro, like he didn't create any of these things.
No,
he literally did not create none of them. So, but everybody gives him credit. Like he created Tesla. He's a genius. I'm like, no, he's not. He's not.
Yeah, he bought into Tesla.
And what's up with everybody? Buddy thinking capitalism makes you a genius.
Oh,
what is it about having more money that makes you more intelligent?
Well, you were smart enough to be born by richer parents, apparently. Dude, like, bam, checkmate. Checkmate, atheist. Like, be born by rich parents. Like, oh, man.
Saying he's a genius is like saying Thomas Edison was more intelligent than Nikola Tesla. You know what I mean? Because he's Thomas Edison, but worse.
Well, it depends on what you mean by intelligent. Intelligent doesn't necessarily mean you're good at doing things. It could also mean that you're an evil scumbag and you're like, hey, capitalism exists. I could just steal everybody else's shit.
Is he intelligent though? That's the question. Is he? Because I don't think he is.
Oh, no, I don't think
he's a complete dumbass. I think the thing is being good at capitalism like doesn't equate to intelligence, right? It's good at being able to make people buy your shit, sniff your farts, and thank you for it.
Yep.
He apparently has proven himself very good at that. And then he'd be able to leverage himself into spots that he's able to exploit to be able to gain wealth. You know what I mean? And that's he didn't start Tesla. He didn't start what's his SpaceX. Like he didn't start any of that shit. He bankrolled it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and not even just completely bankrolling it, but he was like what do they call it? It's like when you're a big investor. It's not like there's just I can't remember. He has put a lot of money into it because again he started with being apartheid emerald money, and then he went on to getting bought out of a .com, you know, PayPal literally print money kind of situation. You know, he just continually fails upward. You know, he's the fail son for our times.
Yeah, I was actually looking into him a little bit more too for this conversation, and it's funny because everything he has done, he just throws it all at the wall. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. Like, not only is like Tesla with the cars, you know what I mean, and his bad judgment is also why the cars are hella fucked up and like having like the what's it called AI all f up and like getting car accidents and stuff. Yeah. But like also there's SpaceX, but he also made a submarine that nobody talks about.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
tried to make a flamethrower. Like, people forget about the flamethrower, and he was like, "This is my best invention ever. Everyone needs a flamethrower." And you're like, "Dude, what?
man, I was watching a video on that too. It's like, bro, they have they're shooting the flamethrower. Just like it's a good toy, but that's what it is.
Buy the thing for like, a tenth of the price he's charging at any farm supply like retailer. Like, it's farming equipment. Like, you can buy a flamethrower. It's farming equipment. He made it look like it's from the movie Aliens, and he's like, "Oh, we're going to charge so much more, and people will totally buy this." You could just go to a 4-H store and be like, "I need a flamethrower," and they're like, "Oh, clearing out your old crops," and you'd be like, "Yes," and then you have a flamethrower. I don't know. Yeah, it's just stupid shit. He gets an idea and he thinks like. Just like every debate bro, he thinks he's probably the first one who's ever had that idea, and that he's a genius for having it, and that everyone should like recognize his intellectual prowess for that idea. And then when everyone else tells him, "Hey, other people had those ideas before, and they turned out not good, or they didn't turn out the way they wanted them to," the person just is like, "Nope, not listening," Like, hell, Tesla paid out, like, there was, like, that lawsuit against Tesla in their, one of their plants. It might have been multiple black people, I'm not sure, that filed a lawsuit against, anti-black discrimination in Tesla. But, like, they got, like, $65 million. Like, it was an insane amount for a settlement. So there was some messed up things there going on, dude. Like, so it's like also not just Elon, it's also the culture of entitled debate bro tech dude, upper middle class guys who think like, I am the smart guy, I am the this and that, and they're all telling each other that. They're just telling each other that, and what a shocker. This is where we're at.
Yeah, like, look. It also is like made by the identity culture stuff that we see, right? This hero worship of these like celebrities and rich people that we still see. It's always permeated this culture, but we see it like expanding. You know what I mean? Because, and here's the thing: is like it's wild because for me, I'm so removed from it at this point. Because the last time I remember like viewing anybody that way, I was probably like 15, 16, right? But as like my late teens and like my young adulthood to now, it's like I realize there's some people, but there's grown ass 50-year-olds that really believe that Elon Musk is some miracle genius, or for example, Beyonce is like, and Jay-Z are like the king and queen of the blacks or something. You know what I mean? Let's be real. Like I'm joking. But it's kind of how people act about it, you know what I mean? On both sides of it. I'm talking about like people who see them from the outside, but also even some of our own people just be thinking like that, versus not realizing they're just some fucking rappers and singers, and they're just some billionaire. Like what are you talking about? Like Elon, Bezos, or Bill. You know what I mean? They're all just these dudes that really scam their way mostly to the top. If you follow any of these fools' histories, it's not being like this wise, intelligent person that brings new innovations to the world. It's being a person who can scam and put themselves in places to be able to gain advantageously for themselves, and that's all they've been doing. And that's what gets them the wealth. It's not them putting in the work for the people or building up foundations for society to be able to function on.
Yeah, no, it isn't it's a way for society to function that benefits them. And them alone. Not a society
function for them, sure, but not how society functions. You know what I'm saying? Like, how can they gain from the flawedness that exists?
Mm-hmm. Well, because again, like, some of this isn't just about Elon. Like, some of this is like structural. Like, you can't just have an Elon Musk in the world and have them become a billionaire. You also need like an entire social structure and economic structure that enables dickhead fail sons like Elon Musk, the apartheid prince, to be able to acquire that much wealth by just scaling upwards. Just invest here, they kick you out because you made some bad decisions. Well, you got a payout. You're going to use that money to invest in the next project. And you get bought out again because you wanted to do a bunch of bad stuff again, like really bad ideas, and so it's like the problem is that Elon Musk himself, where some other billionaires probably have a bit better of a structural analysis of why they're billionaires, so they're like, shh, come on guys, quit, don't bring so much attention. People like Elon Musk, I think he is just convinced that he is just a godlike superhuman, and that's because, he's just a debate nerd. Like,
I feel like he might be doing the fake it till you make it thing. That's why he wants to push a lot of the innovations, right? Because he's like, if I'm going to be the head of the cyberpunk dystopia, I got to get all the cyberware first so I can live to be hella old.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, some people I could see doing that. But, I think Elon Musk specifically is in the same category as, Ben Shapiro, where they were part of the generation getting called gifted, i.e., you were probably on the spectrum, and the schools tried to tell us, you're so smart, you're going to do so many great things. And, ultimately, they didn't question that. They just didn't question that. They were like, oh, we are genius smart boys. Instead of being like, well, how does a society that is so much intellectually inferior to us, as this thinking goes, how did they identify people that have the gifted boy gene or whatever? It's stupid. It's stupid. And what it shows is that they take one thing and then they extrapolate. That's why these guys, Elon Musk might have been a nerd on computers as a kid because he's on the spectrum. And, Ben Shapiro is really good at the violin because he was going to be the next, virtuoso and shit, But ultimately what ended up happening is they have the gifted boy syndrome where they didn't question it. They didn't have any soul searching. They didn't do anything of well, what does that even mean? I might be smarter in some things, but then I see that there are other things that other people have a much greater understanding for. What is intelligence? How do we really actually identify it? What are we talking about? What types of intelligence are we talking about in a given context? And those guys, they just think, no, they are inherently better than everyone because they're the special golden boys. And that's a special kind of delusion that is really hard to break through,
Thanks.
And so, there's people like Warren Buffett, and he's smart enough to know, he's like, man, I really got to give to some, organizations that seem good, or else people are going to start looking into what I did to make all this money, which is a bunch of, hedge funds.
Wait. You talking about Jay-Z's mentor, that Warren Buffett?
Yeah, it's like that type of shit. People are like, oh, he's the good billionaire or whatever. It's like, but no. The only difference is those guys are smart enough to know that their billions hang on a razor-thin edge. And if they flaunt it a little bit too much, that class war might come home to them. Whereas, the special golden boys like Elon and fucking Ben Shapiro and shit, they just think they're, actually just, we're geniuses. So, anything we say must be more intelligent, must be more informed than what you say because I have a higher number on this piece of paper, without ever asking themselves, well, what parts of intelligence is that piece of paper trying to look at, and what parts, because there's only so much space on that piece of paper, what other forms of intelligence aren't being tested for there. They never got to that point. And that's why a guy that grew up with apartheid emeralds could be like, I made all my money myself. I'm a self-made billionaire from Apartheid South Africa. Oh yeah, you made your money yourself. I bet.
So, well, let's take a moment, and then we'll move on to the question of: is this all just fucking satire? Like, this is okay. We'll move on to that. But first, I want to say, this is gonna be a shorter stream, just a little bit, just because I gotta get out and make some fucking money. You know what I mean? But speaking of making money, you can always donate to the Patreon at Big Villainous. You know what I mean? Or you can also send a little super chat down below if you have a few extra dollars, and that helps keep us going on Overthrow Media, as well as may help persuade us to keep having streams as well. Specifically, what will persuade us most though is if after this is over, y'all share the VODs and try to get these numbers up, and that will show us that this live stream is wanted every Monday. Also, another thing, on 2 weeks from now, on the 9th of October, we'll be having a special live stream from 4:30 to 8:30 that will be raising money for a comrade who's inside, who just got conspiracy charges, who's an inside organizer, and we will be doing that by having a 4-hour marathon type thing to raise the funds. That will also have FD Signifier, of course, Jelly, myself, the comrade Antloke, and a long list of dope ass folks coming on. Little Bill. So please make sure to tune in for that. Like I said, share this video so people know about it, and let people know about it so they can come in 4:30 to 8:30 on the 9th. And now let's get back to our normally scheduled program and say, let's talk about, is this all just like satire? Like, is it, if it's not intentionally satire, is it accidentally satire?
Well, absurdists would probably say yes. I oscillate between absurdism and nihilism, so it depends on what kind of day you got me. Like if if I see some of the humor of the universe shine through, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, it's pretty fucking absurd. But sometimes I'm like, this shit is way too bad. Like I can't put an absurd bent on it. It's just too bad. Like like I would say that like this whole thing, it's like the reason we're even having this conversation is because the farce of it, this idea that there's ever been a meaningful way for us to address the structural grievances through the system that they created to mediate and diffuse tensions and threats to itself is silly. And so we find ourselves in a situation where it does seem satirical because so many people are effectively at this point where, the top descriptive term for the state of U.S. politics is dread. Fucking dread, dude. Like, I've felt dread for a long time, but for mornings to feel dread about this, we're seeing a qualitative shift. And it's hard to see that system that again and again tells you this is your method for redressing conflict. This is your method for redressing grievances. And it never works for us. And it's really hard to not see that thing as a farce. Like that concept itself. That's a joke, it's a joke. And so it's really hard not to see it as that. But I think that if anything, the ruling classes are just trying to stay just one step ahead as much as they can, because I think that they understand the danger of this situation. As things get worse, if people are not distracted and fighting amongst each other, fighting amongst ourselves, their heads are in danger of an emergency makeover, let's say, and they don't want that to happen,
I want to say real quick before we move on is thanks to Hermit for the super chat. That's cool, big. Just glad to have fun chats, and we glad to have you here as well.
Yeah.
But I wanted to say I will get out of chat. Don't worry, y'all. I'm not freaking y'all just because you haven't done it. Don't worry, it's not crucial. I just wanted to make sure and show love. But the thing is, I do feel like it's kind of is satire because of the way it plays out. It literally be like cartoon villain status. You know what I mean? And the way the system like plays out as a whole is literally so tropish. It's ridiculous. The thing of this feels like literally the playbook of Idiocracy right now. Like we're in that like time between, right, where we're evolving into the Idiocracy that was to come later. You know what I mean? If you has everybody all seen that? Let me know in the chat. Have you seen Idiocracy? And if you're watching the VOD afterwards, still let me know in the comment section. But like it feels like we're in that process right now. Like President Camacho was the last president we just had, except they were white, or actually orange. They weren't white; they were orange. But the thing is, it looks like it does seem very satirical in the way it functions, right? The way these billionaires literally just play in our face, the way the politicians just play in our face, and then the way people eat it up. Because I'm like, maybe it's my like autistic ass powers or something, but like to me, it's like obvious as hell. And it feels like to a lot of people, it is obvious as hell. And it's really kind of ridiculous at some points, right? Like the whole billionaire submarine. That was ridiculous, bro. Like that was the goofiest, like, 1,000 ways to die ass shit. You're like,
no, are you a freaking?
These are the people who are running the country. Like these are the people that run the world. Are literally
literal James Bond villains, dude. Literal James Bond villains.
Literally have about much of intellectual comprehension as fucking a housefly. Like it's like, bro, like yeah, you just have too much money. You just have too much power, but you do not have nearly enough intellect, despite you're seen as powerful, intelligent, all these things. But it's just by fluke. It's just by like people passing down money and wealth. It's by coercing people, and those are the things that like we're valuing these people, and then we're surprised when they turn out to be crap based. Like, bro, their whole business model is coercion, bro. Like from like capitalism's whole business model is coercion. Why are we surprised when they turn out to be as bad as you would think they would be?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, because it's such a goofy system that it seems satirical. Like, who would surrender their power over to get scraps from the table that they went and tell the fields for? Like, who would do that? Oh yeah, the Americans, the Western powers, Western population, well, the Western powers and the people at the top just sit there and accept it, right? But also it's just like literally they be just doing goofy shit, like literally goofy shit, not just like bad stuff, but like goofy. Like look at like you talk about these billionaires. Look at Bill Gates. Look at Elon. Look at Bezos. Wait, have you looked at any of these billionaires and thought like these are some goofy weirdos, right?
They are.
And then they have the power of capital and billions of dollars in a capitalist society, which then it makes them revered as gods.
Mm-hmm. It's the literal revenge of the nerds. Yeah, they're exacting their vengeance on all of us, all the rest of us. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. I would say that, like, part of what you're saying, like, so I would say that, like, I have critiques of Idiocracy because Mike Judge, he's, he could be funny, but he's also a conservative, so he saw like individual actions as the prime mover of that social shift, and he never looked at like how capitalism and all this media is like intentionally part of this process. Like, it's he almost kind of like doesn't see it in his own movie. Because ultimately what's happening is we are having everything, including politics, because of the way that the entertainment spectacle has been going. Everything needs to be reduced to that kind of mass consumer product, including politics. And so it's becoming even more and more of a farce of itself. Because the old season, like the shit we grew up on, that was last season. that doesn't fly anymore. The viewers need new thrills. The viewers need new things to keep them in their seats. And so it's this game of one-upsmanship to try and, to try and position not themselves, because they're all hanging out at the same country clubs, they're all hanging out at the same parties, they're all getting paid by the same billionaires, all these politicians. But they have to position themselves for this, for the view, the picture that is going to be created of them, that then in people's minds becomes the real thing, and so we're in this feedback loop where shit is just going to get seemingly weirder and weirder because there's no other alternative trajectory to go on,
Bro, we have presidents being kicked off of Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
We have Joe Biden, the now president, doing interviews with Charlemagne and telling Charlemagne that if you don't vote for him, you're not black. The same dude who made the Super Predator bill. Like, we have all these billionaires trying to play their toys as if they're geniuses, just to find out that they really just some kids with money that shouldn't have money. Like, obviously, we see them go down submarines that are just death cans and get squished. Right?
Okay, wait, no. On that front, I do agree with it. I think any billionaire who wants to make a death can submarine or a rocket that's going to blow up on the sun, I say, let them. They should do it. I will cheer for them. I want to watch that launch, and I will cheer for them. And then I will laugh. I will laugh.
Shout out to No Face Lord. Keep up the good work, and we appreciate you. Thanks for the $10 dono. See you. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we should recognize Comrade Death Submarine. That that Comrade took out a couple of billionaires right there. That's all I'm saying. Comrade Submarine should be celebrated.
But that's still some Austin Powers villain shit, right?
I know.
It's not even that. It's not even that. I'm giving too much credit because at least Professor whatever Evil or whatever his name was, didn't accidentally off himself by trying to be like suspicious. You know what I mean? But the thing is, like, the way shit's set up, like, we're having Twitter wars between politicians. They're all biting for the social media attention. Like, what the heck is happening to this world, to this country, right? Like, it's like, look, I'm not even saying I ever cheered for this country. I never cheered for this country. But goddamn, what the fuck is happening to this fucking country? That's wild. And the thing of, like, that's why it seems so satirical, right? Like, literally, they play in our faces crazy, and we just accept it too, or they just pretty much admitted to everything they're doing, and nobody even like bats an eye. Like, you literally see stuff like this in like Looney Tunes. Like, I'm not even playing, but I don't know. Hey, comment section, what is some of the most cartoonish shit you've seen in the political sphere and economic spheres of America of this given time? Because I can't stop thinking of other examples over and over again, but I don't want to be the only one saying them. So. But I don't know, like.
Well, I think that, like, what's happening is that, like, the cultural machine that made the U.S. A global force for soft power, because the military is the hard power, but things like Hollywood and like the U.S.'s like cultural output in the form of capitalist produced media has created a level of soft power that most other empires have never had. But what's happening is, because the U.S. tried to portray itself as this media machine, like, people, like, look at most people nowadays. You ask them how do the cops function, and they're not going to tell you how police function. They're going to tell you what the last plot on CSI or Law and Order was, regardless of how unrealistic they are. Those shows form the bedrock for how people view the legal system. Like, all of these things, people think of, like, ask anybody if they think about, like, aliens invading, and they're going to think of, like, presidents.
That's another one I was forgetting. The alien invasion one. Yep. Aliens. That's another one they're doing right now. That's literally.
Yeah. Yeah, they're like crap, the red circuses isn't working anymore. You people know that there's aliens, right? Like, please, get distracted. Look over here.
Look, so people got some examples, right? So they said Trump literally winning the election. And I was like, yeah, that was literally casted out like a movie. Like it was like half, there was like fucking Trump, half Hillary against a black background. I'm like, dude, this is like a movie poster, right?
Yep.
And then they got like cryptos and NFT. Like, bro, literally NFTs are selling portions of an image or something like that.
No. It's selling a URL. All you own is the address, the web address, the link to it. But if that
own the link,
yeah, you don't even own the image. They could close it, and then you wouldn't own anything anymore. Yeah, it's a link.
And then somehow that makes you money. And then a crypto, which is they mined something from somewhere digitally, apparently, bits of energy that then they say is valued in the blockchain of, I guess it's a code or some shit.
So the mining, all mining means is that you're literally authenticating the blockchain effectively, and the way you made money with those, I think Bitcoin has gotten away from the proof of. There's a couple of different ways that blockchains have worked. Well, shit, I hate them all, but there's differences. And the whole mining thing was that everyone was racing to authenticate that latest bit of information in the blockchain because whoever did got the money for it. So it incentivized people to make the biggest, hugest fucking rigs out of like 1,000 graphics cards, and just like, but yeah, it's just like, it's a form, it's a thing that could only exist at this point in like the spectacular culture. Like, I'll make up something that doesn't exist and I'll sell it to this other person and they'll invest in it, and then you can find another sucker, and then they'll be able to find another sucker, and then they'll be able to find another sucker. No. But pretty much all NFTs are like, their values are crashing right now. Throughout the last year, it's been hilarious.
But yeah, man, like if somebody popped out with a camera crew and was like, this was all just a nationwide reality show, I believe it, man.
Oh yeah, the Truman Show.
Like, oh shit, that makes sense. Well, why did you kill so many people, bro? That's fucked up.
Now, this is the thing, though. Instead of the Truman Show, I can't remember the show. It's Densuku. It's this Japanese show that created like pretty much all reality show, because there was this guy, he was like a comedian. They tricked him. They had him in this apartment for like 18 months straight. They started him out naked, and he had to like win clothes and win his food through like contests in the mail and stuff. And he couldn't leave the apartment. And he thought they were just filming it, and they were actually showing the whole thing all the time. And they like snuck his diaries out in the middle of the night and like published them without his consent. Like, that's what it feels more like. It feels more like a reality show, like the Truman Show, but like even more unethical.
No,
more unethical.
Sam is Tom Green.
Yeah. Oh God.
That's what's happening. We're in a nation that's ran by Tom Green.
Pretty much.
It's over, man. Anyways, it is over. So we're gonna say deuces, everybody. I know it's coming to a quick, sharp end, but I do gotta get back out there and try to grind. As well as we gotta see y'all show the numbers that we gotta spend this time, because the numbers been kind of low. So if you are watching the VOD, please share, leave comments in the VOD. Even if you're watching right now live, leave comments in the VOD afterwards. It helps the algorithm. And thanks for rocking with us. And yes, it's been official. This is Satire. Woo, we out of here.
Yeah.
Little dance we always do. Now.